Are you with me?
I'm with you.
At Planned Parenthood, that's what we're working towards every single day, to get out the vote, to make sure that every person that's taken action in support of abortion rights, if they attended a rally, do they have a plan to vote? If they've signed an online petition, do they have a plan to vote? No matter what they've done, if they put a sign up, a sticker on their car, if they wear that t-shirt proudly, do they have a plan to vote? That's what we need you all with us doing every single day. And this conversation is so important because it is candidates and champions like Rochelle, Garza, who we're going to be hearing from today, who have a real opportunity to win this year. And it is each and every one of our jobs to close that gap at the top of the statewide ticket. It is just 100,000 more, a few 100,000 more voters we need to get out to vote. But I know that we can do it. We can make that happen. And before we get started, I want to acknowledge some of our elected officials and candidates in the room. Of course, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Up there. Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia. State Representative Ron Reynolds. Wonderful. And we also have a special candidate in the room, candidate Susan Hayes. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody feeling this morning? Yes. My name is Natalie Reyes, and I'm the President and CEO of Latino Victory. And I'm just so happy to be here in Texas. My sister is a Texan, and so I'm happy to visit my sister here in Texas. And I'm also a proud board member of Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Actually, I'm the vice chair, so it's just a pleasure to be here with all of you. I also want to thank Diana, give her a round of applause for all the amazing work she does day in and day out here in Texas for all of us. And obviously, DJ, our DJ here, superstar, you're amazing. Thank you for all the cheer that you brought us this morning. We really needed it. So thank you for your talent and for sharing it with us today. Abortion and reproductive freedom are on the ballot this midterm elections. Indeed it is. So that's why it's so critically important that we all come out and vote. And not only us, we all have to make a plan to vote, and we need to bring at least 5 people with us, my friends. So El Vecindario, our neighborhood, needs to come out and vote with us. Vote early, make a plan, and go out and vote, because everything is on the ballot in this midterm election, especially here in Texas and throughout the country. So no government can tell us what to do with our bodies, especially with our body autonomy and agency. We are individuals that need our freedom, our right to choose. And so that's why I'm urging you, and that's why we're here today, to make sure that we all go out and vote and cast our ballots come this November. So listen, I don't want to take too much time here, but we have an amazing candidate in Rochelle Garza. Rochelle is an inspiration to all of us, not only here in Texas, but across the country. And she's going to be the next Attorney General of this great state of Texas. So give her a round of applause, and so make sure that you come out and vote for Rochelle, and she's going to join us here on stage. Come on, Rochelle. She will indeed deliver real results. She's done it before, and she will do it again statewide. Give her a round of applause. I think you're fine right there. I'm also excited to hear from one of my sheroes, an inspiration for Latinas everywhere, a fearless advocate for sexual and reproductive rights, and a compassionate champion for mental health. My friend, Dr. Luz Towns Miranda. Please join us on stage. I'm also honored to welcome the incomparable Lin-Manuel Miranda, Dr. Luz Towns Miranda's son, who I'm so proud to call one of Latino Victory's most passionate ambassadors, a tireless advocate for the Latino community, and of course, an amazing actor, filmmaker, producer, director, you name it. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, join us on stage. Amazing group, but it's not over yet. There's another person to join this amazing group that will moderate. Last but certainly not least, Nisha Randall, Director of Public Affairs at Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, a Houston native, a longtime community advocate, and co-founder of March for Black Women in Houston. Welcome. So listen, without any further help us get it started. Thank you again. Let's give them a round of applause.
Well, thank you all so much for being here today. I hope you got some coffee and some pastries and are settled in and ready for a interesting, inspiring, and important conversation this morning. And thank you, Rochelle, for being here, Lin-Manuel for being here, and Dr. Townsend Miranda for being here today with us. So, Rochelle, I'm so incredibly excited about your campaign, about you being the first Latino woman to run for AG in Texas, and the fact that you're going to beat Kim Paxton in about 22, 23 days. So, Rochelle, there are a lot of folks in this room who've worked really hard on reproductive rights and abortion for years. And then there's some of us here who's here for the first time, like my niece. First rally ever. So can you start us off by giving us a little bit of background about how we got here in Texas and what is your vision for the future of our state?
So first of all, thank you all so much for being here this morning. It is very exciting. We are on the cusp of something absolutely incredible in the state of Texas. So yes, we should be excited. We should be absolutely excited. Unfortunately, how we got here, it took years. We know that the anti-choice movement has been working really hard to overturn Roe. We also know that they set up the states in such a way to ban abortion like we have here in Texas today. So it really started in 2009 with redistricting. Because the state was redistricted, we saw a lot of these extreme legislators being elected, and we saw laws being changed since then. So we had the 24-hour waiting period to get a medical abortion in the state of Texas. An unnecessary sonogram was part of that. We also saw changes in the judicial bypass process, which is a process for teens to get access to abortion care in the state of Texas. And so this has been a chipping away at reproductive rights over years, and it resulted in an unconstitutional proposal, law, SB 8, with the 6-week abortion ban. It is unconstitutional, but they did it anyway. To ban abortion at 6 weeks, which was against Roe, to have a bounty hunter scheme where you have individuals seeking out anyone who aided and abetted an abortion that was designed to evade judicial review. And I'll say that again, designed so that a court would not be able to evaluate it. And we saw what the Supreme Court did. We saw that the Supreme Court did not strike it down and say, this is not constitutional. You cannot have a law that can't be reviewed by a judge. So it took all these years to get there, and where we are now is a total ban on abortion, and I'm not going to mince my words on it. There are no exceptions for rape, there are no exceptions for incest, it doesn't matter how young you are, and Ken Paxton, my opponent, litigated to stop doctors from providing life-saving care to people who need an abortion in an emergency room. And so the result is, if you are miscarrying, a doctor will not provide care to you unless you are septic. And that is resulting in deaths across the state. That is resulting in a lot of trauma, a lot of financial ruin, and we've got to stop it, y'all. And we can do it. We can do it through this race. I am the closest. This race is the closest statewide race that we have in the state of Texas, and will be the absolute most meaningful win that the Democrats will have, because I can act independently to protect us from these abortion bans immediately. It won't restore abortion access overnight. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that I can be a check on what is happening and be actually the people's lawyer to protect us. Thank you.
So my next question is for Lin-Manuel. We're so excited to have you in Texas today and to bring attention to the public health crisis we're facing right now. Why is it important for folks like you to come to Texas? Because I know this is a little struggle to get down here right now. To use your platform and support folks like Rochelle and the organizing that we do at Planned Parenthood Texas Votes and Latino Victory.
First of all, I love Texas. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, Houston. We got family. Well, my grandfather was from Eagle Pass, Texas, so we got roots all the way down here. You know, what I'm hoping to bring are the cameras that are in this room on the incredible work Rochelle Garza is doing, and all of you are doing on behalf of Planned Parenthood and abortion care in this state, which is beleaguered. I was born in 1980. When I was born, Roe v. Wade was settled law. I never in my lifetime imagined we'd go backwards on that. To put a pin on that, my older sister was born in 1973, November of 1973, the year Roe v. Wade was passed. I remember my mother saying, "I chose you, and I was so proud to choose you." I never thought that choice would be taken away. It has been taken away in Texas, and no human should have control over what they do with their bodies, and we're looking forward to fighting for that and getting Rochelle elected Attorney General of Texas. Full stop.
Thank you. Dr. Charles Miranda, you've been a longtime community advocate and you've sat on the Planned Parenthood Action Fund board at the national level for many years. Why is this issue so important to you, and what inspires you to take action?
Good morning, Texas. I grew up when a young girl or young adolescent's worst fear was getting pregnant. My sophomore year, the school president, I went to an all-girls school. The school president disappeared after Easter. Nobody talked about it, but everybody knew she must have been pregnant, and she had no options. And Texas is back to where the terror was that I grew up with. So, as my son said, in 1973, 2 months after Roe versus Wade was passed, I found myself pregnant. I had also just come through 2 years of surviving cancer. And I had been told if it doesn't come back in 2 years, you'll be fine, otherwise, forget it. So, at that point, I go to Planned Parenthood, because Planned Parenthood is the place you go. And the staff there was so happy. You have a choice now, which wasn't the case 3 months before. And I did tell them, well, it's my choice to go forward with this, because I had lived through 2 years of not knowing if I'd even live. So, moving forward in my career, I wanted two things: to be a mother and to be a psychologist. My work has been devoted to working with the underserved in the South Bronx. And for 19 years, I worked with family medicine, where underserved women of color basically receive their services. And I am acutely aware of health disparities. And they've only gotten worse. And the United States is the worst in the developed countries with respect to maternal health. This ban is now contributing to worse outcomes and really endangers the health of women. I was more than happy to join Planned Parenthood's Action Fund when I was asked, because I recognized the huge importance of the work Planned Parenthood does. It's the place that provides care for everyone, and men and women. It's family care, it's health care, as well as reproductive care. So I'm excited for Rochelle's candidacy, because it will make a huge difference in sustaining the lives of women in Texas.
Woo. Thank you. So, Rochelle, you're the first Latina to be a nominee for AG for a major party. What does it mean to you to be the first Latina? And talk about running statewide in Texas, and with abortion as a core issue for your campaign.
It's hard to know where to begin on that one. I'm very, very honored and very proud to be in this position, to be the first Latina to ever be nominated to be Attorney General. We made history, and we're going to make history again in November. So I'll be the first woman and first Latina ever to become Attorney General, and that is an incredible feat. And I think a lot about my grandmother, my dad's mother. She had 13 children. They were farmers in South Texas, and I just remember her telling me from a young age that I should not have a boyfriend, that I should keep studying and going to school. And she even said that to me when I graduated from college. She was like, "Mijita, no, don't have a boyfriend. Keep studying." And I realized what she was telling me all those years was that she wanted me to chart my own course in life. And I know that my grandmother absolutely adored all of her children. She was such a hard worker. She would take a few days off after having a baby and then be back picking cotton and okra and tomatoes the next day and making food for the family. And she wanted me to have more choices than she had growing up. And that's why abortion is at the forefront for me. And it's more than just a choice. This is about the course of our lives. And I have been talking about abortion and talking about choice from the very beginning. I got through 2 elections, y'all, talking about abortion. 2 elections. I got through the primary. Out of a 5-way primary, I got 43% of the vote, more than double my next opponent. And in the runoff election, I got 63% of the vote, more than 25 points. Being a Latina, talking about abortion. So what does that say, y'all? Latinos are pro-choice. So don't let anyone say that we're not. And the data reflects it. So I'm very proud to put this at the forefront because this is about our futures. And I hope to be an example for my daughter, who is 6.5 months old now. And I hope to be an example for others too.
Thank you. So, taking a point of personal privilege, I cannot be on this stage without telling you that I'm pushing down my inner fangirl so hard right now. But I do want to say that, your work has inspired me. It's part of the reason why I became a community advocate. So I want to ask you, what's it like to have inspired so many people like myself? And how would you have, what kind of advice would you give to young people to help them do the same thing?
Wow. Well, seeing you here makes me really glad I picked up that Hamilton biography in 2008. But even if it had been another story, I mean, I grew up loving my parents' cast albums. My dad's favorite was Man of La Mancha. My mom would bump Camelot in our old Subaru. And I wanted a life in this world, and I didn't see it. For Latino dudes, it's Bernardo and the Sharks or bust when it comes to what existed out there in musical theater. And so I started writing what I saw as missing within the Heights. And I wrote about my neighborhood, and I wrote about the many communities that intersect there in Washington Heights and in Upper Manhattan. And I think that's a lot about why you guys are here too. It's what is missing, what is that injustice, what is that impulse that keeps you up at night? What is that thing that makes you say, that isn't right? I think the impulse towards doing good in the world and the impulse towards making art is the same thing. It's what doesn't exist but should. And I think it's so important that we show up to vote. That's really why I'm here. Latinos can make the difference in this election. Latinas can make the difference in this election. We are this sleeping giant, particularly in Texas. And if we show up, we can, speak up. We can elect the people like Rochelle, who will speak up for the matters that matter the most to us. So I will try not to quote any Hamilton today, because really the only thesis of Hamilton is, what's past is present. And we continue to have the same fights in the contradiction that is this country. And we've seen the pendulum swing back and forth. And, as Martin Luther King said, we want the arc of time to bend toward justice. So I'm really proud to be here, and I'm really proud to be with you all today.
Dr. Towns, Miranda, I wonder if you can give us an idea of what you think the mental toll for the abortion ban is on folks in Texas. Texas or the country has a mental health crisis going along with the healthcare crisis we're in right now?
I'm glad you asked. As a clinical psychologist, first of all, the American Psychological Association did a longitudinal study on the outcomes of abortions. 97% of the women who had abortions were relieved that they were able to have that choice. So, given that fact, what's going to happen to the women in Texas who have had no choice? Deciding one's destiny and having options about how to proceed in one's future is huge. As a psychologist, let me tell you, mothers who don't want their children, they're not the only ones that don't want, that experience that. They become depressed, they can be angry, they can be rejecting. I worked with toddler fire setters. The number one indicator for starting fires among four-year-olds was maternal rejection. You need to be aware that a mom that doesn't want to have a child is going to struggle with that child, and the child is going to experience it. I've been involved with infant research for more than 20 years, and depressed moms have depressed babies. The outcomes for women that are forced to have children that they don't want, the consequences are like throwing a pebble in the ripple effect is huge. So in addition to the other tolls that people have had to struggle with, not having a choice has profound implications for a person's well-being, and then being forced to carry under a huge number, usually adverse circumstances like poverty, violence, is really going to have severe mental health consequences in this state, I'm sad to say.
Thank you. This next question is going to be for all you guys. So you have children, grandchildren. We talk so much about the country and what's wrong with it, but I want to know what you guys think, or what your vision for the future looks like in a perfect world for your kids, or as perfect as we can get it.
Sure. Well, I can tell you, I'm away from my kids for 3 days to help get out the vote, and my 7-year-old Sebastian goes, "Why are you leaving?" I mean, this is where I can start with this question, and I had a very frank conversation with him, which is, there are places in this country where folks are taking away our right to choose what we get to do with our lives. That's how I put it in 7-year-old mode. It's important to vote, and I'm just there to help folks bring up energy and make a plan and bring their friends to vote. And it's kind of important that we show up for each other, even if we're not in the same state, even if we're not next door neighbors. As Americans, it's important for us to show up for each other when we're in crisis. And then he said, "Okay, can I have breakfast now?" Got it. I understand why you're leaving. But I believe that, and I also believe in instilling that in our kids. That notion of you are your brother's keeper and you are your sister's keeper. I think that's fundamental to who we are, and that's what I want to instill in my kids and instill in our future.
I think I raised my kids with the concept of there but for the grace of God go I, and that we're all really responsible for and having consideration for others. And I would love for the future for each individual to have rights and control over their own bodies, because that in and of itself will lead to a better outcome for everybody.
I'm still someone that believes in hope and that we can build a future that is better than what we currently have. I wouldn't have jumped into this race if I didn't truly believe that at my core. I was actually 9 weeks pregnant when the 6-week abortion ban went into effect. And instead of choosing not to run, I ran into the fire because I want to make sure that my daughter has more choices than I do. I want her to know that this state is as much hers as it is anyone's. And I want to make sure that we together build a Texas that we can be proud of, where everyone has the right to choose, the right to marry whoever they love, and the right to be whoever they want to be. So that's my hope for the future. That's why I'm in this race, and I know that we're going to get it done together.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank all of our panelists so much for joining us today, for coming to Texas, Rochelle coming out to Houston. I think we have 22 more days before the election. I hope everybody has decided what campaigns they're going to block walk for or make phone calls for, because we need everybody in this room to get out and help us get out the vote. So, absolutely.
I'm just going to make one plug. Susan Hayes, can you please stand up? Susan Hayes please standing up. She is a badass, and she is running for ag commissioner. Vote for her, follow her on social media, spread the word, donate to her. She is tough, and she's going to get it done. All right, thank you.